All right, looks like we're live. Um, After a couple of hiccups trying to get up and running, we're finally up and running. Let me adjust this mic here. Welcome back to the live stream, y'all. It's been a while. Had family vacation stuff and work obligations I had to take care of, and I kind of took precedent over it. But back to burn for another live stream. On today's episode, we're going to talk about, just give you some general tips for business owners navigating the treacherous waters of social media. So that's what I got on today's live stream. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments and I will get to you after the intro. Peace. Welcome back to the live stream, y'all. My name is Brian. I run I Sell Words with my wife, Brandy. It's a media marketing company. We help small business owners determine what their sticking points are with their marketing and then implement a strategy so that we can break through those sticking points. And one of the big sticking points that we find turns into a failure to launch kind of moment where you have all these social media options and you don't really understand how to utilize them to increase your business. And so that's what we're going to talk about on today's episode. Again, if you have any questions, drop in the live chat. I try to keep this as informal as possible. So if you got questions, go ahead and drop them and I will answer them to the best of my ability. And if I can't answer them directly, what I will do is request that you book a time and we can sit down and discuss it. So here's the thing, and this is why social media use is important for business owners. Right now, there's a lot of paid channels that you can use to market your business, and they're pretty proven. The problem is they're relatively expensive. They all carry a cost with them. Social media is one of those things where, yes, you can absolutely pay to get better outcomes on social media, but your investment is largely time. You invest the time in monitoring the accounts and building followings and uploading ideas, uploading content and sharing stuff and cultivating an audience. Your investment is time, and it is more time dependent than money. Now, once you get up to a certain level, it becomes just as money dependent, if not more, than traditional media channels. But once you have your audience clearly defined, the amount of money you drop in there gives you leverage. It gives you more leverage than you can find in some more traditional kind of marketing things. Now, there's no, I know lots of people jump on and talk about snail mail's dead, or this thing's dead, or that thing is dead. Classified ads are dead. None of these things are dead. They all can generate outcomes for you. It's just how you use them. And today's episode, we're going to talk about how to use social media as your weapon. So, like I said, I'll keep this pretty free flowing. If you have questions, pop them in the comments and I'll try to answer them as we go. So question number one, how do we use social media to increase brand awareness? So using social media to increase brand awareness, a lot of times it's building your reputation through social media and really establishing yourself as an expert in whatever field you're in. Giving people useful information coming from an expert is tremendously powerful and is a good way to really establish yourself on social media. And as you establish your expertise, people will begin to trust you and they will actively start seeking out your brand. So the example I always fall back to is on YouTube, and I forgot the gentleman's name, but basically he's a realtor down in Dallas. And the way he uses YouTube is he basically drives around and shows people the neighborhoods and the things to do in Dallas so that when people are looking to move, he's their first point of contact. So they'll reach out to him and say, hey, I want to move to Dallas. I follow you on YouTube. You give me plenty of good information. I want to use you to get a house, to buy a house or whatnot. And that's how he builds, his awareness for his real estate real estate company. That's really it. And it's really simple. He just drives around and gives people good information and they learn how to trust him through the information that he provides. That's how you build the brand awareness. Because here's the reality. People don't make determinations about you or your brand until they've interacted with your services. Sometimes it's once, but other times it's multiple occasions. That's when they make determinations on your brand. If you are investing so much time in talking about how great your brand is, and then you have no proof, or your delivery's off, or your brand doesn't quite meet expectations and it falls slightly short, you are basically digging a hole for yourself. It's, in my opinion, and I know other people are going to disagree with it, but my opinion is better to use social media to build your personal brand as an expert in your field that provides good information that's not levered to a sale or any kind of business transaction. You're just giving good information, and put a call to action and say, hey, you don't have to use me, but if you have any questions, here's my contact information. That's how I would utilize it. Other people are super brand heavy, but here's the reality. You're not Pepsi Cola, you're not Coca-Cola, you're not McDonald's. And so your brand doesn't mean as much until you clearly define it in the space. And I think a lot of business owners struggle and fight to maintain a brand identity, but the brand identity has no identity in and of itself. So I would utilize social media to establish your personal brand as a helpful expert, and put a call to action and tell them exactly who you're affiliated with. So when they're ready to take an action that involves you or involves a professional, you're the first person they contact. Okay. This actually leads into the second question that we have. What content resonates most with our target audience on social media? You have to find that out. You have to create different kinds of posts and different kinds of content. And when I say content, it can be video content. It could be just informational social media posts that don't have any video or media attached to it. It could be podcasts, newsletters, or whatever. You try these different things out and see what people respond to. And here's the thing. I'm not a believer that impressions are this magic thing that automatically yield results. What I will say is this. You figure out, you determine what action you want your audience to take. Then you figure out what kind of content creates that specific response. And then once you sort that piece out, then your goal is to create as much of it as possible. So if your audience responds to live streams or short form content, that's the well you dig into. And that's how you roll with it. A lot of times people get too caught up in, they have an idea of what they want to do. And instead of, they almost try to force it. It's kind of a weird thing. They always try to force a specific kind of content. It may be content that they don't like to do. Now, if you don't like to do anything, you're going to have to pick something. You're going to have to pick something that causes you at least physical pain or emotional pain, but you do need to create something. And I do think we need to define what content is. Content is stuff you post on social media. That's the definition I'm using. Content can be short form videos like TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. It can be sales letters that you send directly to an email address. It can be things that you post on regular run-of-the-mill boilerplate Instagram, photos that you take with captions underneath telling your life experience and what you're doing. These are all different forms of content. You figure out what content creates the audience that you want or creates the response from the audience, and then that's what you go all in on. You don't have to be present everywhere, but you have to be present somewhere. That is more important. You have to be present somewhere and you have to be consistent somewhere. So this is something you figure out through testing. And you mix the results of the testing with what your personal proclivities are, what you like to actually do, and what you feel comfortable doing. And that's the content that you create to engage your audience. And then you keep doing it. How can we measure the success of our social media campaigns? So I'm about to break some digital marketing taboos. I'm gonna just tell you, for me as a social media marketer, I don't care about impressions. Or, I'm not at a point where I can care about impressions. And most of the business owners I know with social media presence aren't at a point where impressions are the most important thing. Conversions are important. Conversations that are started through the content are important. Bookings, appointments, these are the things that matter. If the media content is generating conversations and people are reaching out to you, that's what matters. Now, I'm not foolhardy enough to say that you can roll out a piece of content, one time and expect to have results off of it. You got to build a flow with it, and you got to be consistent with it. But at the same time, um, if you're getting millions of impressions and zero in dollars, um, those impressions didn't mean a heck of a whole lot. That doesn't mean throw away the whole strategy. That means you might want to optimize it. Maybe we need to put a stronger call to action. Maybe we need to put a link to a landing page or something in the description so that they can take an action based on that piece of content. But I like real world things because I can't pay my mortgage with impressions. Now, if those impressions turn into dollar signs or turn into appointments or ongoing conversations that will develop into sales, those are the things that matter. Um, Quick and dirty version. Is this thing making you money, and have you invested enough time in this thing to make you money? Because there may be something that takes 4 or 5, 6 months to build, but that 4 or 5, 6 months yield you 2 or 3 new clients, and depending on what industry you're in, 2 or 3 new clients can be a game changer for you. So you just got to keep that kind of stuff in mind. But I don't measure success with the vanity metrics on social media. I measure it with real world stuff. Are people even talking about you? Are more people reaching out to you? Because that's something, it may not always convert to a call, or if they're reaching out to you and you're having trouble converting them, that might be a systems issue on the other end that you can fix. And so you're getting the people interested, but there's a collapse once they get in contact with you. Now you need to put a system in place to make sure that you're pushing them through and answering their questions and moving on to the next part of the sale. So I don't measure social media campaigns with the vanity metrics that you see. CTRs and all that stuff, or click-through rates and time on platform is great if your primary business is creating social media content. But if you have another business tied to it, you need some real world results too. You just need to make sure that you give time for those results to take place. All right. Which social media platform should we focus on for our business? Now, that's the question I get a lot, and I'm going to dig into this one. What social media platform should you use for your business? What social media platforms do you use? Which ones are you familiar with? Those are the ones that you use for your business first. I would not try to learn a brand new social media platform just for a business unless you have no other social media platforms. If you already know, or you already have an idea or some familiarity with Facebook, start there. Your ideal audience may not all be on Facebook, but at least you have somewhere where you can identify to get started. So that's what I would do. I would focus my energy on what I know. And then once you get a good flow with it, because some of these social media sites, some of the knowledge of these social media sites is transferable, kind of like I know specifically Threads, Instagram's new thing. I'm a bobber. Threads is reminiscent of a combination of mostly Twitter and a little bit of Instagram, but mostly Twitter. With Threads, there's some familiarity. So if you understand how Twitter works, then it's a little bit easier to use. But by and large, I would say focus on the social media platform you're most familiar with first and see what kind of outcomes you get there. Now, if you are selling stuff that is for a teenage audience, and you know that the presence of teenagers is something that's kind of dwindling on Facebook, then I would challenge you to at least stretch and try to learn how to do Instagram and how to do TikTok. But there are use cases where that makes sense, learning that new audience. But in a lot of time, or learning the new platform, a lot of times it makes more sense just to start with what you know, unless you have specific circumstances like none of my audience is on this platform. Okay, then you can go off and learn something new. But you need to go with what you know first, and then once you figure out, once you have mastered that, then you can add other platforms as you need, or as you're limited by what platforms can do, because a lot of times the platforms will actually limit you in terms of what you can do. Um, how do we increase engagement on our social media posts? Okay. I like how these questions are going. So, how do you increase engagement on your social media posts? Um, it's going to sound trite, but you post engaging content. You ask questions. You use a little bit of humor. You ask your audience specific things that may or may not relate as much. One post I did for a client, basically gave them a piece of advice and kind of phrased it as in, um, the lie detector, do you do this? Well, the lie detector said that's a lie. And so it created a level of conversation because people were getting a realization of, this thing that they're supposed to be doing every single month or every 6 weeks, they're not actually doing. And it started a conversation where they're actually asking, like, oh my God, do we really need to do this? And it allowed the business owner to hop on and say, well, these are the specific cases and things like that. Now you have engagement going back and forth. Um, but asking questions, giving pertinent information, telling people things they didn't know, asking for feedback from the audience. These are the things that you can do to boost engagement. Plus, you got to be consistent where you're at. Um, Anybody can post one post, but if audience start expecting to hear from you, that's how you build engagement. Um, I'm the worst lesson of this because I had to take a bunch of time. I had to take a considerable amount of time off from the live stream and from podcasting just because of trying to service clients. But it's getting back to the consistency and just, you may not be perfect in your delivery, but a lot of the adventure is working towards perfection. So more or less, you boost engagement on your social media by asking questions of your audience and leaving things open ended and allowing them to respond back to you and being consistent with it. Okay. Um, should we use social media for customer service? It depends on what your capacities are and how comfortable you feel. Here's the reality. Like I have social media or Facebook Messenger as an avenue for clients to contact us. Um, you know, I have specific feelings on how Facebook Messenger works, but you can put in automatic responses for common questions and things like that. There's a lot of power within that platform to do a lot of different things, and you can reach pretty broad audiences with it. I think that you have to leave a human element in your client service. And so if you're going to use like help desks and things along those lines, make sure that you leave an avenue for people to get human contact, whether it be a call or a personal email or something along those lines. Because the reality is, the danger is if social media is your main way of doing, if you only use social media accounts for your customer service piece of it to interact with customers, and you don't really have offline conversations, one bad interaction can create a cascade of events where somebody gives you a negative review and instantly it just blows up. And so you do need to have some level of offline communication with your clients. At least that's what I believe. Now, I know that they're completely web-based businesses, but businesses can be destroyed by a campaign of angry clients. Like if somebody really gets mad and has an axe to grind, they're really not happy with your services. It doesn't take a lot for them to uproot everything that you worked on if you don't have any kind of offline way to interact with customers. All right. How much time and resources should we devote to to our social media strategy? Um, Again, I hate to always say everything depends, but this depends on what your schedule looks like. You do need to have I would say, at least start out with an hour every business day at least, to not just create content, but if you are paying somebody to create content, I would schedule a time to consistently check in with them to make sure your brand voice remains the same. Because a lot of times when you hire a social media manager, they're trying their absolute best to duplicate your voice in your business, keep your personality in your business. But you need to check in with them, and inquire and give them bits and pieces to make their messaging a little bit more authentic. Now, if you're running your own social media for your business, you can triage your time. You can absolutely do what I'm doing. I do a live stream, and then I chop the live stream up into smaller conversations and repost them on social media throughout the course of a week or a month. And so you record it once and then use it forever. You can absolutely do that. But I would say, for social media posting, for new offers, just to kind of touch base with your clients and let them know what's going on in the world with you, and let them know how you're doing and things like that. I would at least give an hour of time to at least checking in on your social media. If you've outsourced it, schedule, weekly or bi-weekly meetings to talk to your social media management team to make sure the voice and brand stay the sound of your brand voice stays consistent. Um, but it's something. Here's the thing: it's less about how, specific units of time, like an hour, half an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 6 hours, or whatever. It's more about you consistently doing it every time, having a consistent thing. So if you check in and do your social media posts 3 times a week, you are solid almost 3 times a week. If you post content daily, you're solid on those daily things. If you only post on business days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then that's what your rotation is. So just being consistent with doing your social media on a weekly, monthly basis can help out a lot. I hope I answered that question. And like I said, I'm always open for more questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. But I'm gonna keep plowing through here, y'all. Just because you know I am. That's how it goes. So next question: how often should we post to our social media platforms? I kind of answered that question, but I'll jump into it again. How often should you post is going to be really dependent on audience. Depending, and a good rule of thumb is 2 to 3 times a week is good enough. Depending on your audience, sometimes 3 times a week is way too much for them, and they're happy with hearing from you once a week or twice a week. Other times with your audience, if they expect to see daily content, then that's what you probably should work to deliver for them. But there is no hard and fast rule with it, but you can use a rule of thumb. So, um, 2 to 3 times a week is good. Um, for a lot of audiences, once a day could be pushing it, depending on how your audience is conditioned. But multiple posts a day, especially on Facebook and Instagram, can kind of get overwhelming. TikTok is shorter form content, so people are absolutely used to seeing multiple videos. They want a library of content that they can scroll through. Um, Same thing with YouTube. You know, sometimes you can way overdo it, and the reality is you have to make sure that as the business owner, you don't burn yourself out on social media too. So you need to find a groove that works for you, and not be tied to, oh, we got to post 5 days a week. Well, that's coming up with content 5 days a week and posting content 5 days a week. That can be exhausting for some people. And it can also exhaust your audience, and they're seeing you too much, and that could actually lead to them clicking off. Um, if you're doing something like a newsletter, a monthly or bi-monthly newsletter, um, you know, Stay within that groove. If you're sending out a newsletter every month, then that's what you do. If you send out a newsletter every quarter, then that's what you do. Um, and then you can play around with frequency. So you could see how an audience responds to monthly if you've been sending out a newsletter every other month. So you kind of figure out where you kind of test it and figure out where your audience is with it. And then you serve them what the expectation is. Like I said, twice daily on Facebook is kind of overkill. Some audiences enjoy that. For some people, it's just too much content. So it's highly dependent, but there's also rules of thumb. Let's say 2 to 3 times a week to start out with, and then choose your own adventure with that one. All right. Next question. How can we better understand our competitors' social media strategies? You need to follow your competitors and see what they're doing and see what they're not doing, and then slide in to fill in the gap. There's been plenty of times where you look at your biggest competitor and they only have, like if you're on Facebook, we're talking about Facebook business specifically. And you're using Facebook for your home base. You may have a mega competitor in town, but you have more followers than them. That gives you an advantage because people follow you on social media because they're interested in what you have to say to a degree. Sometimes there is a friendly level of it where they're just being kind, but other times they find you engaging, they find your business engaging. So it makes sense to follow what your competitors are doing so you can do the things they're not doing. Or if they're doing something that works, you can absolutely steal that idea and implement it yourself. It's a cutthroat game, but that's what you got to do. So you need to pay attention to what your competitors are doing on social media. And actually, Facebook does provide tools where you can actually see what the industry competitors are doing in your city. And I can always go back to it and explain it on another podcast or a podcast or a live stream. But yeah, I think it's really paying attention, looking and seeing what your competitors are doing, and just searching their names on social media and seeing what their output is. I know plenty of billion-dollar companies out there that have, a YouTube presence that's smaller than some streamers. And they don't invest a ton in it, but they make billions of dollars everywhere else. And if they would have allocated some of that money to growing their YouTube presence, they would have done. They could have done huge numbers, and they could have drawn a lot of business to themselves. So go out and evaluate what your competitors are doing. You might find out that you have an advantage that they don't, just by your presence on social media. But I think, you look and kind of see what posts are engaging. Like if they make a post and you see a lot of comments on it, take note of what kind of content they're making and see what you can do to emulate that. In the marketing world, we call that establishing a swipe file. Swipe file is other pieces of marketing that may or may not be related to the specific industry you're working in, but you're like, this is a really good ad. And I need to kind of sit down and study this ad and see what made it work for me and see if I can emulate some of that in some ads that I create. So swipe files can pretty much be anything. And you can absolutely have a social media swipe file where you're looking and seeing, okay, this post did, there's a lot of people answering and commenting on this post. What did they ask? And what can I ask to create that kind of response in my audience? All right. Best way to handle negative comments or reviews on social media. Don't argue with them. Do not. I'm just telling you right now. If you get a negative comment or review on your products or services, the absolute last thing you want to do is bicker with these people. And I've seen business owners that your business is your baby, and it's like almost like somebody criticizing your kid or something. You're going to get really defensive a lot of times. And so it is very difficult to not take it personally when somebody doesn't like an aspect or delivery of our business. And I got 2 businesses, and it still hurts when somebody is very, very not pleased with the service or something, I still take it personally. But when you get a negative comment or review on your services, the absolute worst thing you can do is get into an argument with this person online. The next thing that's pretty bad is going in and all of a sudden you just take down all your reviews. Your ability to, like you do, and Facebook allows you to remove reviews, remove the whole review section from your page. And I've seen a lot of business owners do that. You can dispute reviews if they're fraudulent. You can absolutely dispute them through Facebook and Google. And I've had success with taking stuff down that was fraudulent. But yeah, you don't want to sit there and argue with these people. What you do want to do is be empathetic, hear what they have to say, listen to the criticism and learn the lesson in that, and then maybe respond with, we're sorry that your experience was blah 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 blah. This is what we're going to do to make up. Can we call you? Can we contact you to discuss what your issues are? And if it is truly a fumble on your part, and you run a business, you interface with a lot of people, we do screw up sometimes. If it is truly a fumble on your part, offer some level of concession with them, where you're offering a free whatever or a complimentary whatever to make up for their negative experience, or just even a phone call or email or something so that you can actually have a discussion and then take it offline. Take the conversation offline, not the comment. Take the conversation offline. But I would, if I got a negative comment on a Facebook or Google review, reply to it, apologize for their negative experience, and then try to and then let them know, hey, if with your permission, we'd like to give you a call to discuss blah, and that's how I would handle it. I've gotten pushback on pricing. So it wasn't even negative feedback about a service or anything, but the price is too high. And you can absolutely stick your chest out a little bit and say, well, our price is high because we feel like we deliver a high quality service. Well, I can go anywhere else and get it. Okay. We have no problem if you are able to find a competitor that's able to meet your expectations for the price you want, then we absolutely encourage you to go that direction. And you say that in your comment so that you're expressing some confidence in your product or service delivery. So I would say this: you don't argue with people who leave a negative review. Contact them, you ask to contact them, and then you make an attempt to reach out to them, but then you also let them know, hey, can we call you? Make sure you type that on the social media thing so people can see that you're responsive to criticism and you want to use it to get better. But please do not argue. Talking to fights in your message board and stuff like that is really just not worth it at all. It doesn't elevate you. It kind of brings you down. And there are going to be people out there that are just generally negative, and that's fine. A lot of times people have a good sense for when you're dealing with somebody who is just ongoing miserable. And that's fine. Don't be another miserable person. Don't be two miserable people sitting there arguing about this thing. So I would respond to it. Apologize the best way you can, or say, we would like to talk to you more about this. Can we reach out to you? Can we email you? What's the best way to contact you? You make sure you leave that message in your response, in your reply to the comment, so that they can see it, and then your audience can see, hey, this person's responsive to criticism. And if it's a pricing thing, stand firm on your pricing. Don't apologize for your pricing, but let them know you feel like you have an excellent service and your price is fair. But encourage them, if they can find a competitor that can offer them the rate that they believe that the rate that makes sense for them and offer the same service, you encourage them to go that way. That way you show some confidence in what you're doing. All right. How can we leverage social media influencers to promote our brand? For social media influencers, money is going to be the thing. And I would almost encourage you now, since the market is turning a little bit, and a lot of there's a lot of damage that specific high level social media influencers have done, promoting businesses that were fraudulent or promoting products that hurt people. Um, Influencers can be great, but you really have to vet the influencers you pursue. Just because somebody has a big following doesn't mean that they're the right influencer for you. Um, and for people that don't know, when we talk about influencers, influencers are people that get on social media and talk about your products or services. Um, I would go with influencers that you've built some kind of personal relationship with, and they were kind of cheering for you and your business to succeed, and start there. I would, blind cold calls to specific influencers or whatnot. You're really getting into that transactional territory where they're going to want their money, and that's going to be the primary focus. And they don't have a personal relationship with you or your brand or your product or service. And it can lead to some really bad things because a lot of times you don't know exactly what other products this influencer has promoted or what the public perception of this influencer is. So I would say it is important to have a personal relationship on some level with the influencers that you use. I know that's not exactly a clean answer, but that's the way I would phrase it. Influencer marketing can be kind of a dangerous thing, especially with all the influencers now that are getting sued for products that they've scammy products that they either are influencers for or shilling or that they're creating themselves. So you just need to be very cognizant of um, I would almost be almost super selective in what influencers you tie your brand to, because all it takes is one media kerfuffle, maybe one insensitive comment on Twitter or Twitch, or somebody starts throwing around slurs on a live stream or something along those lines, and your brand is tied to them. And in today's political climate, people are super reactive to specific brands associating with specific people and media personalities. So you may be completely oblivious to everything that this media person is doing in their world, but there's an audience of people that is paying attention to everything that this person does, and they will absolutely punish the brands that support the influencers that they don't like. So you got to be really careful with influencer marketing. I know that that's not the answer that some of you are looking for, but I got to keep it real with y'all. All right. Next question. What is the best way to create a cohesive social media strategy? You have to clearly define what your brand voice is, and your brand voice can vary from platform to platform. Sometimes it's going to be more formal, sometimes it could be a little bit more informal, really depending on what you use. Some people will build a brand where one social media channel is talking mostly about business stuff, and another social media channel is talking about their lifestyle stuff. And that's perfectly fine. You need to be clear on what channel you're on and what voice you're using on that channel. And the cohesive part will come together. But then also, you need to be planful of what are you on social media for? And I think a lot of times business owners don't really sit down and think, what am I on here for? What outcome am I trying to produce by being present on this social media platform? And I think maybe a good way to help y'all think about this is when I talk about social media to clients, I talk about it as channels. Every channel on your television has a specific target audience in mind. Lifetime has a specific target audience in mind. ESPN has a specific target audience in mind. Nickelodeon has a specific target audience in mind. And they tailor their programming and commercials and everything related that shows on that channel to the needs and desires of that target audience. And we can even get more granular. When you watch The Price is Right in the morning on, say you're home from work or something, or you're on vacation, you're watching Price is Right, you see a lot of commercials for life insurance and, Depends and, vitamins for older people, because that's typically who's home, retirees. And so they're trying to sell products to retirees. And so they figure that this is the best methodology to do it. And apparently it's been working because it's probably made billions of dollars for CBS or whatever news, whatever channel is showing prices right in your area location. So if you view social media as channels, and each channel has specific audiences with those channels, and you tailor your content towards those specific channels, you're going to see some good results. LinkedIn is a little bit more buttoned up, prim and proper, almost to the point of kind of almost borderline toxic positivity. But LinkedIn is going to be a little bit, your presentations on LinkedIn is going to be more business oriented than what it would look like on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. So, you really tailor your content to your specific audience. And I would say you go with the channels, because the reason why I go with channels is it's easier for me to keep. Okay, I'm on this channel. I'm on ESPN now, and for ESPN, I need to tailor things for the demographic of males 18 to 49, and that's the audience I'm speaking to, because that's who's watching, and so my content has to be engaging to them. So I think it's really understanding the audience you're speaking with. And again, I'm a big proponent. I'm a big proponent of not trying to be everywhere all at once on social media. I think you should really pick a channel and learn everything you can about delivering content to the audience and getting the conversions and sales and outcomes you want from that specific audience. And then once you feel like your presence on social media has hit a bottleneck where you can't really extract any more value from this social media platform, that's when you start testing out new ones. I don't think you need to be present everywhere, and I don't think you need to be well-versed in everywhere. But regardless of where you are, you need to understand the audience that you're on. If you're looking to sell products to people that are, 16 to 24-ish, Facebook is probably not the best avenue for you to sell those products. Just keeping it real, because Facebook they're not super present on Facebook. And if they are, they establish those profiles when they're like 15 and haven't looked at them since. So just understand what the audience built into the channel that you're using is. I hope that makes sense. If you need clarity, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know. So I'm not going to stop here, but I do want to take a second to kind of talk about what my services are. So my wife and I own a marketing company, and what we do is we help you laser focus your social media strategy. We help you focus your marketing strategy, and we do that by our Unstuck Sessions program. Our Unstuck Sessions allow us to really focus on one specific area or outcome that you want with your media or marketing, and come up with a list of potential sticking points so we can figure out, okay, what is the primary sticking point that is keeping you from moving on to the next step? Once we figure out what that sticking point is, then we apply a service. So if your sticking point is, I have a great email list, but I don't know how to engage them. Okay, so it looks like you probably need some kind of newsletter and maybe a social media channel that goes along with that. But let's build the newsletter first. And then our prescription to that would be an ongoing newsletter to engage that email list. So that's what our services are. We kind of audit and look and see what your social media presence is and what your business is doing and what outcomes you want. And we figure out where you're bottlenecked or where you're stuck. We have a sticking points meeting to assess what your specific sticking points meeting. We have an unstuck meeting, which can either be ongoing kind of coaching, business coaching, marketing coaching sessions to help walk you through it. Or we have done for you services, which include video production, newsletters, social media management, whatever you need to get you moving forward. And that's what the Unstuck sessions are, just designed to get you moving forward. So if you're interested in that, or you want to book your sticking points meeting, you can contact me at mail@isellwords.com. unstuck.net. I'll be posting the link so that you can reach out if you want to schedule your sticking points meeting, and then we can get started and get you unstuck. So as you can see, it's right there. So if you want to schedule that initial diagnostic meeting to kind of figure out where you're stuck and where your marketing is stuck, contact us for a sticking points meeting, and we'll get you on the calendar. All right, back to the business. We want to keep things moving. KIM, keep it moving. All right. So how can we effectively generate leads and conversations through social media? One, your presence is going to be very important. You making sure that you are having active presence with people and conversing with, engaging your audience on a consistent basis where they know at this time, this day, this is the stuff that you post. That's one. But when we're talking about higher level stuff, a lot of times when we present uh, things on social media, we don't have a really clean call to action. So you need to be very decisive about, okay, I've provided you great information. I've kind of you turned on to watch how to unclog a drain myself. Great. I've tried that and the drain is still clogged. What do I do next? Okay, so if your drain is still clogged, here's a number that you can call us. Here's an email, or here's our website where you can schedule a time for one of our people to come out to you. Having a stronger call to action and telling them what they need to do next is one of the things that a lot of businesses fall down with. They think that putting their services out on a banner is good enough and not telling people what to do with that information. There have been plenty of billboards that are sitting around town that never get a response. There are plenty of billboards that actually do get a response. You have to actually tell your audience what to do next. After they consume your content, after they consume the content for your business, after they consume your knowledge. Now, I have the knowledge. What do I do next? How do I hire the right painter? Okay, I'm going to talk in this video about how to hire the right painter. Okay, great. So now you know how to hire the right painter. Why don't you give us a call so we can discuss this further to figure out if we're the right fit for you? These kind of conversations need to happen. You need to be very deliberate in your call to action. Too many businesses I see on social media will make a post and put a link to their website in there, and they think that is supposed to inspire people to reach out to them and converse about business. And that is not it. What you have effectively done is you've had this whole conversation. You might have solved a problem, a very real problem for them. And then you posted a link to your website and drop them on the front page of your website so that they can stumble around, get disinterested, and go to somebody and then leave and go to somebody that does answer their question or does make it easier for them to contact. So be deliberate in your calls to action. That's how you use social media to get the outcomes that you want. If you're going to, if you're talking about a specific service you provide, when you post a link on social media with a post attached to it, you need to take them directly to the page where they can get help. So if you're saying, hey, if you have a question about X, Y, and Z, you guys need to reach out and contact me. Here's my email. Or you can go to our website. You need to have a link that goes directly to the contact us page on your website. If you're selling doodads and you want them to come buy doodads from you, you need to link them directly to the page where they can learn more about doodads and purchase them. These things are called landing pages. The landing page is where somebody comes and transacts business. If you want somebody to sign up for your newsletter in exchange for a report that tells them how to get more mileage out of their car, then you need to say, okay, in exchange for this free download, I need your email address. Click here to get started. You have to be very deliberate in telling people what you want them to do. I forgot what the percentages are, but I'm telling you now, the percentages ramp exponentially when you put in a strong call to action on a social media post, as opposed to just saying, here's my information and here's the menu and come and see us whenever you can. No, call us today to get started. Click here to get started and then lead them directly to the place where they can get their needs met. We are a transactional society by way of social media. We like to take immediate actions. And so you need to provide a way for somebody to get their needs met either immediately or start to get their needs met immediately. And that's how you get people to convert. But just posting, hey, I'm really great at this thing, and you never ask your audience to do anything to get the benefit of your greatness, where you never say, hey, leave an email, go here to learn more, blah, blah. If you're not doing those things, you're leaving money on the table. Hope that answered your question. If you have any more questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. If you have any more questions regarding that specific question, I should say. How should we approach paid advertising on social media platforms? You have to test it. I'm running paid ads right now for different businesses I run. You test out what works. And once you have a winner, something that delivers outcomes, you use that forever or until it stops working. What I mean by that, let me clarify that. So if I create a paid ad for somebody and it returns and it gets people signing up and they're actually seeing people, they're actually seeing money flow in from that paid ad. What I do is I will copy that ad and drop it into a word processor and save it, because now that becomes a template for other ads. Because the ad cracked the formula, the ad had the formula to create conversions. And as a result, I need to duplicate that ad and repurpose it. I do it with landing pages, I do it with ads, I create it, and then I optimize it. Now, if I have to write it or something, that's fine. Then of course, I'm testing out different versions. I'm trying different words. I'm trying different titles and different tones and stuff like that. And then when I find a winner, I keep it. And I keep utilizing it and redeploying it time and time again. Now, for paid ads with social media, here's the thing that this is the thing that I need to get across to y'all. When you're running paid ads on social media is incentivized. Social media platforms are incentivized to make running an ad or boosting a post as drop dead simple as possible. The reason why they're incentivized to do this is if you don't know how to operate the back end of the ad software, if you don't know how to target your ad, is what I'm saying. If you don't know how to go into Facebook and create a targeted ad, or if you don't know how to go into Google and create a targeted ad, and you only are general, you are going to spend more money and you're going to blow through your budget faster. And even if you get returns on it, you're paying much higher per instance of people converting, if that makes sense. So when you're using paid ads, it is imperative that you learn how to target your ads on the back end through whatever social media platform you're using. Now, I'm going to throw out a couple caveats. I do not market on Twitter anymore. And it doesn't have anything to do with the fact I don't like Elon. It's nothing. That's that. Twitter, I've never had good responses with my marketing approach on Twitter. And I haven't had clients that have had good responses to their marketing approaches on their paid ads on Twitter. I'm talking about Google, Facebook, and by proxy, Google and Facebook includes YouTube and Instagram. And I'm still learning some of TikTok stuff. But here's what I'm saying. When you're using targeted ads on these different platforms, when you're using ads on these specific platforms, you need to invest the time, or you need to hire an expert to target your ads for you. And when I say target, it's using the right keywords so that you can get the audience that is going to take the right action. Because what happens is when you just boost a post on social media, when you just boost a post on Facebook, Facebook takes that post and says, okay, we have a general idea who this relates to. We're going to show it to who we generally think this applies to. And sometimes Facebook's right, and sometimes Facebook's very wrong. But every time somebody clicks on that ad, every time somebody views that ad, you are getting charged for that view. And that's what happens every single time. Every time somebody views it or clicks on it, you're getting charged and your budget shrinks. So you need to make sure that the ads you run are specifically targeted on the audience that buys from you. And there are plenty of tools out there. Facebook Pixel is a very powerful tool. It can be confusing, but it's worth learning about. Facebook Pixel is a little thing that you install on your business website. And basically, it tells you which people on Facebook have visited your website and allows you to target your ads toward those people. And the reason why it's important is those ads have already drawn the attention of people, or your websites have drawn the attention of people. And so by targeting ads to those people, you're going to get people that are more likely to buy from you. It's the old principle of direct response marketing, the infomercial kind of marketing, where we show a thing, we see who's interested, we give a phone number, and those interested people call to learn more. And you're selling to people that have already demonstrated interest in the product that you're selling. You can absolutely, I would advise anybody running paid ads do the exact same thing. You want to show this to an interested audience. And so you have to take the time to learn how Facebook ads are built. Or you need to invest in paying somebody who can do that kind of stuff. We do that kind of stuff for people. But either you got to learn it, or you got to talk to somebody or hire somebody who knows how to do it, so they can target your ad so you can get the best bang for your buck. They want you to click on the boost this post button because it's not targeted in your it spends more of your budget faster, so that you have to spend more money on platform to get the kind of results that you want. So I hope that answered that question. I know I kind of went all over the place, but I would approach paid advertising with a strategy of we are going to hyper focus and laser target on a specific segment of this market. And that's what we're only going to go to people who are going to be interested in our product. And we're not going to try to promote this to colder traffic. I would also couple it with some kind of email strategy, some kind of email marketing strategy, where you offer a piece of information in exchange for somebody's email address, and then you can market to them with a newsletter, because now you actually own the traffic. You actually own their email addresses so that you can send it to whenever, because a social media platform could up and disappear tomorrow. And if it up and disappears tomorrow and all your leads are only generated slowly through social media, all your leads just up and disappear too. All right, how should we approach, or how do we integrate our social media strategy with our overall marketing strategy? They should be symbiotic. If you have a marketing strategy that targets a specific audience, you need to really be targeting that audience on social media. You need to figure out where the audience is in the real world and on social media, and market to them. And you need to be consistent with your messaging. I run a sports business, and our call is we build better athletes. And the clientele that we want are people that are interested in the grind and interested in actually working hard to attain the results. And we don't want people that are looking for an answer in a box. We don't want people that are looking for a quick and fast solution or quick and fast cheat to get to the varsity team. We want parents of kids that are fine with the concept of we got to work hard to get the things we want. And that's the audience we want. And we have made our messaging align with the fact that we tell people straight up, if you're not ready to work hard, this program is not for you. There are no hacks. There's no shortcuts. It's a steady grind, and you got to put in the work to get to where you want to be. That is our messaging. And once we started focusing on that specific messaging, we weeded out a lot of people. The other strong messaging piece is, if you want to just collect trophies for basketball, for youth basketball specifically, we ain't the organization for you. We focus on player development. We don't care about trophies. We don't care about the collection of trophies. We care about what trophies represent, which is hard work and improvement through hard work and effort. And so we're very clear about that. And once we clarify that marketing message, that's informed all of our social media messaging and marketing. Because here's the big picture, y'all. A lot of times we see marketing as this separate entity to our business. And I challenge that notion, because I believe that you're in the business of marketing the services of the business that you run. It's old Dan Kennedy thing. You know, you're not a dentist. You are in the business of marketing dental services or dental hygiene services or dental surgery services. You're in the business of marketing that. I don't think that you are a plumber. You are in the business of marketing plumbing services. You're not a roofer. You don't run a roofing business. You are in the business of marketing roofing services. You're in the business of if you run a business that builds fences for people, you are in the market. You are in the business of marketing fencing services. So when I look at marketing, I view marketing as a holistic thing to your business. Your marketing is your business, and the services you are making money off of depend on you adequately marketing them to the right audience. That's how I view marketing. So I don't view it as this separate beast. I view it as a thing that's interwoven into every aspect of the way that you do business. And so when the question is, well, how do you integrate social media strategy with over marketing strategy? You have to clearly define who your ideal clients are and speak to those clients. And that will, and then make sure that that's translated across all media platforms that you use. All right. How do we ensure we're staying current with social media trends? This is going to be controversial. Don't stop chasing it. You'll never catch up. These kids move at speeds that you can't even predict. Right now, there's probably some social media platform out there that's going to devour all of them. And then that'll be hot for about 3 years. And then the next one will come out. Right now in the streets, Threads is hot in the streets right now. Next week, it'll be something else. You need to get good at determining what your brand strategy is and who your clients are, and then adjusting to the permutations of the social media platform that you're using. Social media trends, you chase trends when you are in a business that relies upon being trendy. If you're in fashion or music, any kind of art, you got to really be hyper focused on staying trendy or staying in line with what the current trends are. But if you're running a business where things are pretty consistent, your industry doesn't change, it just evolves, you just need to become very aligned with what your business voice is and who your target audience is and who your client avatar is, and you will survive no matter what social media platform you're on. If you're on YouTube and YouTube goes away and now you only can do short form videos on TikTok, there are plenty of things that allow you to record one long video and chop it up into a lot of little tiny videos for TikTok. But if your messaging is the same, the information is still good, you don't really need to worry about riding the trends, because the trends come and go. I know a lot of people that try to, there's a lot of people, I shouldn't say I know a lot of people, there's a lot of people that try to build out full careers on Vine. The ones that adjusted when Vine went down are the ones that are the stars now. They adjusted to what the current reality is, but they use the skills that they learned to build an audience on Vine to build audiences other places. The trends may change, the skills do not. So I would advise a serious business owner who's not in the business of content creation, or you're not in one of those fast-moving trend-driven agency or trend-driven fields, to not focus on trends as much as getting competent in the platform that you're using. Should we use automated tools for posting and scheduling on social media? Yes, they can save a lot of time, but you have to monitor those. I know ChatGPT or AI is the big thing right now. And yeah, you could absolutely whip up all kinds of content on ChatGPT to run your business. You still need to go through and copy edit those. You need to actually check for grammar and factual accuracy on these things before you post them. So the automated tools are great. The ones that automatically write content for you are fantastic, but they're still prone to a lot of really weird errors and inconsistent see with tones, and they may say things about your business that you don't necessarily want out there. And so you still have to supervise it. It's almost like having um, a temp, a temporary worker come in and work on stuff, and you got to train it and you have to supervise their work. You still have to manage the outcomes of what these things create. But yeah, there's plenty of, like, Hootsuite is the one I use for social media posting. Yes, you can automate your social media posting to a degree. I'm very leery about full automation though, and I know that there's a lot of influencers peddling um, that world of where you don't have to put in anything and it automatically just does everything for you. I'm here to tell you that that's BS right now. I wouldn't chase it too hard. I would utilize these tools to save time, but not be fully dependent on them to do everything for you. You know, if you ask some AIs to draw you an image for a marketing thing, you might get somebody with 20 fingers on one hand. Image looks great. This person has 20 fingers on one hand or 6 arms. So you got to be cognizant of that. The automation tools are great. The AI tools are good, but you need to understand that they're tools, and the tools still require somebody to utilize the tools for maximum effectiveness. You can buy the most advanced hammer in the world. That hammer will not build you a house by itself. But automation is great. You need to keep an eye on it and automate what you can, but you still need to keep fingertips on it. And don't expect that this thing is going to do all of it by itself, because it's just not going to work. We're not there yet with the technology, I should say. How do we protect our businesses for potential risks and crises on social media? You need to take your audience offline. You need to get them on a newsletter, on a mailing list. That is the number one way that you're going to protect your audience from something going weird with your social media. Because here's the thing, and this is how valuable email addresses are. The reason why the reason why Facebook coughed up all that money to buy Instagram all those years ago, it wasn't because Instagram was this revolutionary trend-setting platform that was changing the world and blah, blah, blah. They weren't really looking at that at that point in time. That's what they'll tell you. The thing that they were looking at was how many email addresses they bought when they bought Instagram. Everybody that signs up for Instagram has their email address logged on there. They bought all those email addresses, and that's gold for them. That's gold for them, and that's gold for their advertisers, because now they can grow their list to market to more people and make their platform that much more valuable, and make the big time advertisers want to pay money consistently to Facebook, because Facebook has these email addresses. You need to get your email addresses somewhere safe, when not just depend on social media traffic. The social media traffic's fantastic. Once you get them in your system, you need to capture their email addresses and contact information so that you can continue to reach out to them, because all it takes is, a couple years ago, I think it was the Amazon Web Services went down and most of the internet went dark. And all social media becomes pointless at that point in time. But as long as you have the ability to continue to reach out to people, collect email addresses and phone numbers and things along those lines, you're always going to be able to engage your client base. So, that's how you protect it. You get that, you get people onto an email list or some kind of contact list as quickly as possible, and be consistent about it. Your email address means everything to your business. You could lose everything tomorrow, but if you have your email address, you can be back up and running pretty quickly. Or if you have an email list, you can be up and running pretty quickly. But if you don't have your client's stuff saved to some kind of email address or spreadsheet or something, you're setting yourself up for a real dangerous precedent. Also, be very wary of who you allow access to your social media, who you allow managing your social media. Have some standards about spam content and making sure people aren't clicking links within in Facebook messages. They're not clicking links and going off site. They're not. This is one that drives me nuts, and I got to talk to people on my list about this specifically. Stop cutting and pasting statuses Please stop cutting and pasting statuses. You are putting your social media platform in great danger, and you're putting all your friends in great danger by cutting and pasting Facebook statuses. People can absolutely hide malicious stuff in copy and pasted statuses that you see propagating online. You you cut and paste the status, and next thing you know, somebody has is sending out all kinds of crap from your Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So please, anytime you see copy and paste the status, don't. It's better not to, because you can screw up your social media presence really fast. And if you have all your clients on one of your social media pages, one of those copy and paste jobs where they're asking you to copy and paste, it can absolutely destroy your reputation as a business owner. So please stop copying and pasting statuses on personal and for your business social media. That's really important. Just please don't do it. It's bad business. But yeah, those are the things that you do. I think you avoid unless you really are dialed into who your audience is. You don't, or you don't really care, and you feel like you're bulletproof enough to get out there, and your business is bulletproof enough to get out there and speak on stuff that's controversial. Speak to stuff that matters to you, because that may help with your business, and that may help your clients identify more with you, but you need to really be judicious about that. You got to be really careful about that. But yeah, the the biggest thing is, if you want to protect your business from potential risks on social media, crises on social media, you need to get your list, you need to get your email list offline, or get it off of social media, and get people's contact information in the real world. Email addresses, building an email list, something along those lines that's not dependent on social media, and control your access, and also control your behavior on social media. Be careful of links, embedded links. Be very careful of copy and paste this messages. You know, if you like puppies, copy and paste this message. Please don't, don't, don't. You know, it doesn't mean you don't like puppies. It means that you don't want code. You don't want malicious code being put onto your Facebook. So be cognizant of that. Best practices for user engagement on each social media platform. That's highly dependent. Um, some people have the policy of they're going to respond to every single post, and that's great if you have the time. I encourage you not to argue and bicker with people online if they leave negative stuff. I've already beat that into the ground, but making sure that you're thanking people, making sure that you're consistently posting content that they care about, that matters to them, not just posting buy kind of stuff. Post information that they can actually use. That's going to do more for your engagement than anything else. Giving them information that they can actually use. People will follow you, and as a general rule of thumb on social media, people follow people because either they're entertaining or they're informational or they're both. So be both. Share content that informs people and sometimes entertains them. Don't be afraid to share a laugh on social media. These are the things that can help you establish the established user engagement. When people actually like you as a person, you're going to see your engagement rates go up. But if all you're doing is posting dry or sale-oriented content, and that's all you ever ask from your audience, that's the only expectation you ever provide to them, you're going to have a very difficult time with engagement if you don't put some of your personality into your marketing. And lastly, how can we use social media analytics to improve our strategy and return on investment? You need to take social media analytics and, how can I put this delicately? I'm not saying you completely disregard social media analytics. That's not what I want you to do. But I want you to take them with a grain of salt and compare them to your real world results. Because social media analytics can paint you one picture, but your real world results can paint you another one. So say this piece of content you posted isn't getting a tremendous amount of love on social media. It's not getting shared. Um, and by the way, back to any engagement questions, sharing, if somebody shares your content, that's the benchmark that I want for engagement. If they're sharing, if they find value in it and share it with somebody else, that is a benchmark. And so that being said, if this live stream has been beneficial to you, share it with somebody. But anyway, back to the, so you're comparing the two things. So something can be look like a loser based on social media analytics, but it absolutely got you a couple of clients. That thing is a winner. So don't fall in love so much with social media analytics to the point where you disregard real world results. Something doesn't have to blow up huge on social media. It doesn't have to go viral to be beneficial. As long as people are talking about it and contacting you about it, that's good enough. So social media analytics are great, but they only paint part of a picture. As much as we're in a digital world, we still interact offline with products and services. We may buy them online, but we own them and utilize them in our real physical real world lives. And so if people are saying that your product or service changed their life or improved their life in some measurable way, the social media post promoting it doesn't need 1 million views. It could do fine with 100, as long as people see it and get their needs met, and then they reach out to you. So let me know if you guys like this format here, if it's been beneficial to you. I like doing these where I get a chance to answer some marketing questions. If you have any marketing questions, hit me up, leave an email. You see mail@isellwords.net. If you want to schedule Unstuck meetings so we can sit down and analyze your marketing or your marketing approach, or you even have a business idea that you want to flesh out, contact us at mail@isellwords so that we can get mail@isellwords.net so that we can get you on the books for a sticking points meeting and get you started. Again, I've been Brian. I got business to take care of. I appreciate y'all's time. Appreciate everybody that's popped in just to kind of glance and see what's up. Like, share, and subscribe. Do the social media thing. Also, if this has been helpful, make sure you share this with somebody. I'm more interested in you guys sharing this content than deciding that you must book a session with me. I need you to share this with somebody to improve their life a little bit. So, but that's all I got. I will talk to y'all later. Thanks for tuning in. I'm trying to get back on the weekly grind, so I will see y'all next week. Peace.